Hello Internet. Today we have ourselves the Assault Kingdom Gundam Mark II Titans figure. So the camera will now focus, which is good, so you don't have to deal with a blurry view like you did for the Freezer review. Rhyming. So let's take a look at the actual figure. So this figure I've had for a little bit. Picked him up at a bookstore for about $10, which is a great price, especially for this kind of figure. So obviously one of the things to point out about this figure is his size. So he stands, let's see, he stands only about 3 1/4 to the top of his head, and then about 3 1/2 to the top of his jetpack thing, give or take a couple inches. Now this thing should, come on, focus. I don't know. I'll have to fiddle around with the camera to try to get it to focus, have it work a little better. But, so yeah, it's unfortunate that it's not. Huh. I don't know. I gotta figure that out. Anyway, whatever. I'll get the autofocus figured out, and how to actually get the thing to focus during the videos. Because you can't get that great of a view on the figure's details up close, but from here it should be good enough. So let's take a look at the accessories first. So we'll set him there. So he comes with 2 fist hands on the packaging, and then, oh come on, stand up, whatever. So he has 2 open palm hands, which are detailed pretty nice, and the way that you exchange the hands is you just pull it straight out, put the, oh it's the wrong hand. Let's grab the right one. Put it in. So obviously, since it is just a peg, all that you get out of the joint is a swivel. But, I mean, for a figure of this scale, I think that it's pretty nice. And shouldn't really have a problem with it. And plus, it looks great for display. They're not all in a line either. They're at an angle. Kind of diagonal. Like that. So anyway. So that's that. Comes with those. He also comes with this, which I haven't read the book series or the anime from whatever series that this Gundam's from, but he has this little head equipment bit. So the way that you get that on is you just put it on and kind of rotate it around to where it's center, and then he has these little, I'm just going to say that these are used for scanning. I'm not entirely sure, but I mean, I'm familiar with the Gundam itself, but I don't know what exactly this is. And it's not a bad accessory. I think it's cool that it's included, but, you know, it's whatever. So, after that we have the shield. Because, you know, Gundams tend to have shields. It's very shiny. Or, not shiny, it's kind of glossy. You can see the reflection of the camera right there. The back is detailed incredibly well. You've got all kinds of little bits and panels. And even though it has this big ugly peg coming out, it doesn't look that bad. And I know that the shield's supposed to be able to fold, but obviously it doesn't. It's just one piece. And the actual sight thing, not sight, the clear, God, I can't even talk. The bit that's cleared out is actually cleared out. You can actually see through it. And then the way that you apply that, there's a peg hole on either side of his forearms. You just peg it in. So now he's got a shield. It looks kind of weird on camera, but in person, it really doesn't look bad. So there you go. And also, I suppose that if you wanted to, you could put it there. I don't know why you would, but it's there. So, last accessory that we have is his rifle, which is detailed pretty well. It's got a lot of small details, just like the shield does. It has this extra handle here that doesn't actually swivel or anything, so whatever. So you just press it into the hand, but it's actually a really tight fit. So he's not going to drop it, but you kind of risk breaking it. And also, since it's here, you can't bend the elbow now, unless you move the weapon off to the side like that, or move it off to the other side like that. So it's not bad, but I'm glad that it's included. at least. At least they tried. It's just that the hand could have been executed a little better. So let's get our fist hand back on. And the last accessory that he includes is this stand display stage thing. So it looks kind of ugly, and it is green, but that's because if you buy the other figures in the Assault Kingdom line, it makes another little Gundam or whatever. So this would be his legs, and then I think this is an arm. I think that's a cannon. I don't know. Beats me. I have enough to make one complete figure, and I'll show you that in the Z Gundam review from the Assault Kingdom line. So you'll see that. So it has a, and you can assemble this in different ways too, because it comes apart. This joint also comes off. But the way that I have it set up is to where I can get a swivel right here. I can get the bend and the swivel, and then it has this smaller joint up top. And you can plug this in right here. And it gives them a pretty good little display stage. I think it's cool that it's included, and it also supports them really well. You could also put it in to like his arm or something, but because his joints are really, I guess, flimsy, it doesn't really work. Same thing with the feet. Since the joint is really flimsy, he just wants to fall back like that. So, or fall forward. So unless you plug it into the back, you're really not going to get much use out of it. So that's that. So let's take a look at the articulation. The head is on just a ball peg with a smaller ball socket, and the head, or the crown, is made of a nice soft plastic, so you won't have to worry about breaking that. And it's actually painted really well, but you can't really tell because the camera doesn't want to focus. But anyway, so also the paint apps on this figure are pretty clean. One thing to point out is that right here, the bottom of the boot, and this is a lot more noticeable on camera than it is in person, is like a dark, like gray almost. This middle section is like a kind of a dark purple, and then this section right here is the same color as the bottom. So it's noticeable. And same thing with like the entire figure overall. These sections are a different color than the chest and the head. And I don't know if that's the way that the character is, or if it's just the way that it was painted, because same thing here. Because I haven't shown you the packaging yet. If you look at the packaging, he's clearly gray. But then you look at the figure, and you get kind of this bluish color. It's not super noticeable, it's just kind of worth pointing out. And then yeah, here's the box with little display on the front. Paid $10 for it. Some display options. The other characters in line. There's that figure I was talking about that you can assemble. It's pretty basic stuff, but I think it's cool, so I still have it. I tend to keep the boxes of anything imported. So anyway, so with this head, single ball peg, he can kind of look down, kind of just look angrily forward. He doesn't really look up, he just kind of looks straight forward. You can get a little bit of rocking to the sides, give him a little attitude, that's about it. And you also get the full rotation. And the collar doesn't get in the way at all. This shoulder armor is removable, so you can really get a good look at the joint. So you can bring the arm out to a little more than 90 degrees, and you get the full swivel. You can attach this shoulder pad right back here, and it doesn't get in the way of the articulation at all. So obviously, since this shoulder pad is just, essentially just a cover for this joint, it will rotate around with the arm, so it doesn't get in the way of the articulation in any way, which is pretty nice. So for the elbow, we only have a single joint, but we get, the hands don't stay in that well, but as long as you don't lose them, you should be fine. You get, like, way more than 90 degrees, because math is no. And also with this little swivel at the top, it really makes posing incredibly easy, especially with a figure of this size. And it, like I said, it is a single joint. The only thing that's keeping it from going further is the sculpt. That's the only thing holding it back. And it doesn't look bad either. It looks like a pretty good joint. And then obviously the wrist, you just get the swivel. So for the waist, we have, I've tried pulling this figure apart before, and the waist doesn't want to come apart. And I think that it's probably a peg that goes up and then flattens out into a platform. Kind of like that, to keep people from pulling it. It doesn't allow any articulation other than this rotation. So it's not bad, but with the waist area, you're just not going to get much dynamic posing. So moving on down, the flaps, these little Gundam skirt kilt pieces are made of a soft plastic, so they don't get in the way of the posing at all, except for the back one. The black one, oh my gosh, I cannot English right now. The back is just a hard plastic. And as you can see, they're essentially the same joint, kind of like the shoulders. So you can bring it out to a little more than 90 degrees, but it won't stay there because of the, well, I guess it will. You can bring it forward. You just got to be careful because of the knee pad to keep from messing with the plate right there to keep it in shape and not to bend it or anything. You can get good 90 degrees. You can get more if you force it, but I don't think it'll stay there for that long. You can bring it back only about, I don't know what that is, something degree. And the kilt flaps, I'm just going to call it a kilt or a skirt, whatever I feel like calling it that day, will stay up unless you kind of push it back down for a couple seconds. So anyway, we do get a thigh swivel right at the ball joint right there, where it transfers into the thigh and knee, which is pretty good. The knee gives you well more than 90 degrees, but because of the sculpt, it is the only thing that's preventing it from going even further. And the knee doesn't look horrible, but it does have a big gap there. But, you know, it's a big Gundam robot. What do you expect? Oh, excuse me. This ankle joint is really interesting. So the way that it works is this piece right here that covers the articulation and the ankle has a hole. It has a platform that goes this way. Then it has a hole right in the middle of it. It has a peg that comes down from here and then curves. Let's get it in frame. Down and then curves into the heel. I don't know if I can get that in shot. There you go. That's a good angle. And then the point that goes into the heel has a ball peg. So it can't go up like at all. That's all that you get upwards. But down, you get like whatever degree that is. It's almost flat. And you don't, well, yeah, you do get an ankle rocker. But only really to one side. But that's all that you need. Although I don't know if it's supposed to go the same way, because it seems like I have two of the same feet. Because it doesn't want to go that way that well. Kind of like this one doesn't want to go that way that well. It seems kind of like I have two left feet. Not entirely sure. And you do get a little bit of a swivel. So that should do it for my Gundam Mark II Titans. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. Hope it helped you, and it's a really good figure. I 100% recommend it. It's, for the size and for the price, it's pretty incredible. And the paint details are great. Overall, it's just a wonderful figure. I definitely recommend this. If you can pick it up, I would do that. If you can't, go online and grab it. It is that great of a figure. It is 100% worth it, 100% worth your time, unless you, for some reason, have an absolute hatred for the Titans. Then, in that case, don't buy it. So be sure to like and subscribe, keep up to date on all my figure reviews and other stuff that might be coming. And be sure to leave a comment, too. Give me some feedback. Let me know what you think I did right and what you think I did wrong, and I'll try to incorporate it. Thanks, guys. Be sure to stay awesome, and peace out.